Hello, my name is Noah Elkrief, and what if I told you that you are pure, innocent, and sweet? What if I told you that you are pure, you are innocent, and you are sweet? How does that feel? For many of us, we're like, hell no, I ain't no pure, innocent, sweet being. We can feel like angry, serious, stiff, cold, the opposite of innocent, all these types of things. We can identify as, shut down, anxious, all sorts of different emotions and ways of being. But I'm here to sort of remind you that you are pure, innocent, and sweet. And you have always been that. It might not be experienced, it might not be acted upon, but it's still who and what you are. So I want you to close your eyes, and we'll just explore that a little bit further. And I want you to imagine someone pure, innocent, and sweet. And for most of you, it will be a child. It will be maybe a baby, maybe an infant, maybe a toddler, maybe a 6-year-old, maybe an 8-year-old. But envision anyone, maybe from a movie, maybe from real life, maybe you, anyone you want. And just look at the purity and sweetness in their eyes. Just acknowledge their purity. Acknowledge their sweetness. Acknowledge their innocence. Just feel it. Let it hit you. Let it open you up. Now, some of us might be able to let it in and feel it in our heart. Some of us can just see it and notice it. And some of us, it might activate something. It might trigger a feeling inside of us of the pain or the sadness of not having that anymore, of seemingly losing our innocence, losing our purity, losing our sweetness. Now you might have, or almost certainly for the vast majority of adults, by the time we're in middle school or high school even, we've lost the tremendous percentage, most of the vast majority of the experience of purity and innocence and sweetness, the feeling of it, relating to life from that innocence and sweetness. But it's not as though we lose it. We simply lose access to it. So my skin is white-ish. Now, if I put on a layer upon layer of clothing on top of me, you might, and even over my face, let's say, right? You might not know that I'm white, that my skin is white. I might not know. If I wore these layers for long enough, I would say I'm not white. I'm, brown or black or blue or green or whatever I have on. But just because there's layers on top of me doesn't mean that my skin isn't still white. So for us, we're all born into this life pure, innocent, sweet. Comes to me about past lives, but I'm not going to go into the complexity and complication of that. But for simplicity purposes, we are all inherently sweet, pure, and innocent. And what happens is things happen, right? Things happen. So maybe you were abused, maybe you were abandoned, maybe you were ignored, maybe you had a seemingly perfect life, but there was one little moment after another of being told how to be, being told what's okay, what's lovable, what's acceptable, and then denying and pushing down all other parts of you. Or maybe you were in an environment where your emotions weren't really welcomed and accepted. So your sadness, your hurt, your insecurity, your fear, your anger was all buried. And so usually, for some of us, it's big events that create traumas that stay with us and sort of block access to the purity. But for many, many of us, there's nothing big that happened. There's nothing like huge, like, oh, like I had such a traumatic childhood. It can be we had the perfect childhood, seemingly on the surface, on the physical level, but on the emotional, energetic level, it was anything but perfect. And we just don't realize it because we weren't sensitive enough, or we don't have the wisdom and access to see that. So what happens each time that we feel hurt, sad, anxious, afraid, insecure, ignored, neglected, any of these types of emotions, anytime one of these gets created in our childhood, okay, or at any point in our life, and we aren't able to express it, we aren't able to let it move through us and come out and release, it gets stored in our body. And each time one of those gets stored in our body, it's sort of like a layer on top of our purity, like a shirt on top of my white skin. So over time, as layer upon layer gets added on top of us, inside of us, sort of like if you imagine it like in the center of you is a light. There's like a ball of light in the center of you. And each time that something happens not so nice and you aren't able to complete the experience, so some fear, insecurity, whatever gets activated or created and you aren't able to let it go, it like is covering that light inside of you. But no matter how much covers it up, you are still that light. That light is your nature. That light is who you are. You are that light of love, innocence, and purity. And the same thing happens with beliefs. So over and over again in our childhood, we're told all sorts of things. Maybe we're told we're cute. You're so cute. You're so cute. And it seems innocent, but what we unconsciously pick up is they don't love me if I'm not cute, because that's what's inside of them. I love you because you're cute, which means I don't love you. I don't feel this affection towards you if you're not. Maybe they tell us you're so smart, but we hear and what we feel energetically is I love you because you're smart. So therefore, I don't have this affection and care for you and love for you and kindness towards you if you're not being smart. And so we pick up one belief after another of how life works, of who we are. So I'm good for this, I'm bad for that, so I should do this, I shouldn't do that. And all these beliefs are, again, like layers on top of this purity and light that we are. So it is a journey. It is a journey to reveal it, to access it. The reason I'm making this video today is I noticed today and a couple of times over the last few weeks that I was feeling really low, like a low energy at some points. And so this morning I woke up and I was just exploring it, like what's going on here? And I felt, and an image showed up of me as like a kind of middle schooler, high schooler with this pure, joyous expression and way of being. And I was like, whoa, beautiful. But immediately I noticed so many resistances to that purity, to that innocence, to that sweet, joyous, alive smile. And for me, the resistances that came up were ones like, I need to be serious. It's not safe to be joyous. It's not acceptable to feel so alive. I won't get anything done if I'm so happy. There were so many things that came up in me of why it's not okay to just be pure, innocent, sweet, and joy. To be, to allow this full natural expression of who I am that I was as a child, that we all were as children to varying degrees. Does that make sense? So who you are is pure, innocent, and sweet, joyous, light, and loving. But whether you can experience it or not, whether you can access it or not, is dependent upon how much stuff has accumulated, beliefs, emotions, traumas have accumulated in your system, in your mind and body. And so when we're doing this work, when we're doing this healing, when we're working on our thoughts and on our emotions, it's not to become better. It's not to become great. It's not to become wonderful. It's not to become happy in a sense. It's sort of to reveal the purity, happiness, and love that we already are, that has been masked and covered up. You get it? So even if we can't experience the lightness, even if we can't feel the joy, feel the aliveness, it doesn't mean that's not who we are. And sometimes, even if you haven't removed and shed all these layers, sometimes you might notice it gets activated. So maybe a little child, when you see a little child playing or sweet or laugh in this full open way, or even if you see me now, maybe, if I'm coming from that place strongly enough, it can activate that joy in you, that silliness in you. It's sort of like, it's like a little laser that goes through all your layers of fear and insecurity and unworthiness, and it hits that ball of light and love that you are, and it activates that aliveness, that joy, that love, that heart opening. You understand? That's why we love certain, we love babies, maybe we love nature, maybe we love, I don't know, happy people sometimes, because sometimes it has the potential to activate what we are more truly. But it's never ever enough in and of itself. If you have a baby to make you happy, if you go into nature to make you happy, it's never actually enough. It might be able to penetrate through for a moment, but to actually live happy, to live joyous, to live from your purity, your innocence, and your aliveness, you got to shed the layers, shed the layers, shed the layers. So my invitation to you is to shed the layers and to remember you are already pure light, love, joy, sweet, and innocent. That is what you are. It is who you are. No matter what happened to you, no matter what you did to others, you are still love, innocence, purity, and sweetness. And the only way you're going to live feeling it, experiencing it, is if you let go of this baggage, of this weight, this density and heaviness of all the layers of I'm terrible, I'm good even, I'm the worst, I'm the best. Sadness, hurt, everything. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you soon. Bye.